What's going on, everybody? Welcome into College Football Now. My name is Joey Peterson. That is Will Ortner. And we got a fresh slate of college football playoff rankings coming up in about 30 minutes. And these ones, I get it. The ones on Sunday are the final ones.
Yeah.
But it feels like these ones are going to set the tone of what the ones on Sunday might look like. Tonight is very, very crucial for a ton of different teams. We're going to break down chaos scenarios. We're going to talk Miami, Notre Dame. We're going to talk Ole Miss. We're going to talk BYU, Texas Tech, Alabama, Georgia. It's going to be a loaded show. We're so glad that each and every one of you guys are joining us as you continue to roll in, as you're joining us live on Chat Sports College Football Now. Make sure to shout out your favorite team down below so we know you're in here. Tony Fuentes, shout out the Texas Longhorns. Ty Man the Buckeye giving us an OSU
Shocker.
OHIO. And we got Jack shouting out Notre Dame. We got a ton of real ones in the chat down below. Will, what in your mind is going to be the biggest storyline going into tonight? We're going to talk a lot of storylines. What do you think is the biggest?
I think for me, it's going to be Notre Dame and Miami. It feels like the committee has slowly been moving Miami forward and potentially been moving Notre Dame back. And you're going to have a conversation here where if you have to let one of those teams in my mind, Miami should be in because they won the game. However, there is an argument to be made because I do think that Notre Dame is the better team. It is a fun debate, and it's why college football is becoming, basically in my eyes, the second biggest sport next to the NFL.
Yeah, we've got a lot to discuss a little bit further on that aspect of Miami and Notre Dame, but it does feel like they'd be making a pretty big mistake not allowing head-to-head to be the deciding factor between those two teams. So as you're shouting out your favorite team, shout out to Derek Lucas with the volunteers down below. Pick a team. Out of those two, Miami or Notre Dame, which do you think gets in? Which do you think deserves it? Reminder, neither of them have a game coming up in Conference Championship weekend. Why is that? Well, Miami had 2 losses in the ACC. They're not going. Notre Dame, if you live under a rock, they don't play in a conference. And it's 2025, Jack and Gage, and they're somehow still getting away with this. It's like, what's that meme? It's like the Breaking Bad meme. Right. How does he keep getting away with this? It's unbelievable. We got some M's down below. Jack is going with Notre Dame. Ooh. It seems like right now Will and myself would both be typing those M's in the comments section.
Agreed. I think this is a fascinating take here from Christian. Says neither of them.
Ooh.
Is there a world where neither Notre Dame or Miami would sneak their way in? I don't see it that being a possibility.
Yeah.
I do think that at least one of these two teams, based on the resume, based on the teams that they have beaten, would get in. But maybe there's a weird chaos scenario.
Yeah, and I think it boils down to this right here. Same record.
Yep.
Strength of schedule, 44th, 42nd, pretty much same. Strength of record, 14th, 13th, pretty much same. Now, Notre Dame has some better losses, but the key is that one of their losses is Miami. Look at that head-to-head. 0-1 for Notre Dame, 1-0 for Miami. What else do you need to see? In my opinion, that's it. End of story. If they've got the same record, comparable from a ton of different angles in terms of strength of record and strength of schedule, and Miami won the game, why would any team be incentivized to play any big game from here on out
100%.
if they could win said game and not get rewarded for it? It makes absolutely no sense.
I completely agree with you. The games have to matter, and the difference between Miami's argument and let's say a Texas, right? Like Texas is going to have the argument, and Sark is now going on his soapbox saying, well, if you don't put us in, we'll never schedule a tough out-of-conference game again because they lost to Ohio State, and that's what's giving them their third loss. Well, I would tell Texas, maybe, don't lose to a Florida team that fired their coach. Don't lose to a Florida team that had no business being on the field with you. The difference between Miami's argument and Texas's argument is Miami took care of business against a playoff team. And in the case of the Longhorns, yeah, cool, you beat a Texas A&M team. Cool, you beat an Oklahoma team. You didn't take care of business when it mattered most, and that's not even counting some of the very bad close wins they had.
What matters most on today's show is our awesome sponsor of the video. It's our great friends at Prize Picks. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. It's the holiday season, which means it's the best time of the year for sports. You got bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which game to watch, there is one place where it feels good to be right, and that is Prize Picks. Prize Picks now is early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. On Prize Picks, I love it because it's up to you. If you want flexibility, choose Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the Power Play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. The link to this promo is in the comments and also in the description of today's video. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Well, normally we would give you 3 options. That's what we've been doing over the last 3 weeks. However, one of those 3 teams, which was the A&M fighting Texas Aggies, they lost this weekend to the Longhorns. So we really got it only between 2. Who do you think is the best team in college football? Is it Ohio State? Is it Indiana? It feels like after this weekend, we've got a better answer because since week 1, we've just been waiting for the Buckeyes to be truly challenged. They were on the road in Michigan, a team that beat them 4 straight, and they handled that thing from start to finish.
I cannot wait for this Big Ten championship game because I think that Indiana can kind of silence some of those who are still a little bit wary about them. I think Indiana and Kurt Cignetti and Mendoza and that whole crew, they're going to give Ohio State a game. I think it is going to be back and forth, and that's the beauty of what these conference championships should be. I don't want to see a blowout. I want to see like last year's Big Ten championship game. Oregon, Penn State, back and forth. You know, Dylan Gabriel versus Drew Aller, and it was a fantastic matchup. I think you're going to see a great matchup with Indiana and Ohio State, but I think it's going to be much lower scoring. It's going to be the classic, a football guy's football game.
Yep.
Great defenses, battling it out in the trenches. I know Ohio State is minus 4.5 on that one. I'll tell you right now, I think this game's going to be within a field goal.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close. Both have really just solid rosters from top to bottom.
So good.
The thing that's interesting with Ohio State, who I do believe is the best team in college football, if they are as good as we think that they are, then the playoff might be really boring. Because it feels like if they are that good, then there might only be one team that can win it all. However, if they're not, then that field expands greatly, and I could name you 6, 7, or 8 teams that I feel like could have a legitimate shot in the college football playoff. Shout out to producer Jack. We got a lot of O's. ATL Enthusiast is saying I. Mally Christian is saying I as well. And something I love is shout out to Christian Fields for that $2 super chat. This was in regards to the question about Miami and Notre Dame. He said neither of them deserve it. Vandy does. Roll Tide. Christian, we thank you for the $2 super chat. Thanks for sending in your 2 cents. And let's go to our next discussion of the Vanderbilt Commodores. Right now, 10-2. In their 2025 record, 6-2 in the SEC. Just got a big win this weekend. I was in attendance, watched them absolutely pants my Tennessee Volunteers. Great season for the Commodores, but is it enough? I don't know if you knew this, Will. The AP poll came out. They actually got dropped from where they were last week to this week after beating Tennessee.
I think, unfortunately, for a lot of Vanderbilt fans, I think a lot of college football fans like myself that like to see when teams like an Indiana, like a Vanderbilt, that are not traditional powerhouses, not traditional blue bloods, that find the right quarterback or find the right coach and have an opportunity to get into a playoff. I want Vanderbilt to get in, but right now I just don't feel like enough things are going to go their way. Should Vanderbilt jump a Miami? In my eyes, no. Should Vanderbilt jump a Notre Dame? In my eyes,
nope.
No. They don't have the wins, and I think if it got into a battle of like who is sexier or not, do you really think a committee's going to put Vanderbilt in over like a Texas type of team? And I don't even think Texas has a shot. So unfortunately for my good friend Vanderbilt Zach, I don't think you're going to be partying in the college football playoff.
Well, the thing that's a bummer about it is every single team that they've beaten so far is going to end this season most likely unranked.
Yeah.
Tennessee, South Carolina, Missouri. Those are their 3 big wins on this season.
Yep.
Now, they had something to do with that, I will admit.
They did. Mm-hmm.
If those teams have one last loss, maybe Missouri, Tennessee, those teams end up ranked, most likely.
Right.
But the teams that they play, 2 of them that will end this season rank, both losses.
Yep.
And it's a bummer because as much as it pains me to say this, Diego Pavia is playing the most electric college football right now across the country.
Agreed.
And believe me, that is hard for me to admit. Regardless, it's staring you right in the face.
Yeah.
Whether he wins the Heisman or not, he's playing really good football. They could make a big splash if they made it in, but unfortunately, I don't think that is the case.
I would agree with that. It just it's one of those weird years where 10-2 just isn't quite good enough.
10-2 in the SEC too.
Right. And there's going to be a bunch of SEC teams that do get in, and Vanderbilt just isn't going to be one of them. I think at the beginning of the year, though, if you told Vanderbilt fans you're going to be 10-2 and not make the college football playoff, I think most would be okay with that.
Yeah. Another team that is making the college football playoff most likely, but will be without their head coach, of course, talking about the LSU Tigers. Unbelievable situation, Ole Miss Rebels. I digress. Unbelievable situation that unfolded with their former head coach this past weekend as Lane Kiffin made the jump from Oxford down to Baton Rouge to be the 26th head coach of the LSU Tigers. But interesting development that came out today, Charlie Weiss, who will be joining him on LSU's coaching staff next season, will be coaching Ole Miss for the playoff. Lane Kiffin says that he hopefully, the committee sees this as a reason to keep them in the conversation, that they'll have their offensive play caller. Do you think there's any way that Ole Miss falls out, even though they went 11-1 with their head coach not being in the fold anymore?
If this was a 4-team playoff, yes.
Yep.
I think that there has been a precedent set with the Florida State Seminoles.
Couldn't agree more.
At the point that you're at right now, no. I don't see how you can keep this Ole Miss team out. They've done everything that they need to do. They've won all of the games except for that game against Georgia to get in to the playoff. They are a team that is good offensively. Defensively, they're good enough, and they have quality wins on their schedule.
Yep.
Is it the most difficult SEC schedule of all time? No, of course not. But they've done enough. I don't know if they've done enough to host a game, but they've done enough to be in the playoff.
Producer Jack is absolutely itching to say something as he grabs his microphone.
So I've actually, oh my God, I did it again. I'm sorry, headphone users, I did it again. So I've actually been thinking about this today, and because I knew we were going to have this conversation.
Great.
I knew that the precedent of Jordan Travis and Florida State was going to be brought up. Is it the same, though?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Head coach and quarterback are the 2 biggest parts of a program.
But the quarterback is actually on the field playing.
Yes, but
it's not that I get how important a head coach is to the nucleus of the team. But he's not on the field actually executing. Whereas Jordan Travis, it made sense that Florida State didn't make it because Jordan Travis was their star player on their team.
Totally agree.
And with him being out, they just weren't going to be the same.
Look,
You could argue without Lane Kiffin, obviously, great coach. I'm not saying that they're not going to be affected with him being gone.
Yes.
But I don't think it's the same as losing your quarterback.
I agree that it might not be 1-for-1, but I will say it's as close as you can get, losing your quarterback to losing your head coach.
I would make the argument that it's always going to be more. It's like saying, hey, back in, the 1700s, 1800s, it's the French army, but now Napoleon is not the general. Like, how is the French army going to be put in the correct positions to win these battles? That's all I'm saying. It's like taking the general away from the army and then saying, well, it's all the same soldiers, right? There is a difference. And I do want to emphasize this. I was listening to Joel Klatt speak about what it was going to be like for Ole Miss without Lane Kiffin, and he had a glowing review of the things that Kiffin's able to do that not everybody truly is able to see in game. And Joel Klatt said for his money, and I do respect Joel Klatt's opinion a very high amount, he said that Lane Kiffin is the best offensive mind at making in-game adjustments and knowing how to attack opposing defenses. Now, I understand that Charlie Weiss Jr. is coming back, and he was the play caller for a decent chunk of this year. He's still not Lane Kiffin.
Did Lane Kiffin make the right decision? Let us know down below in the comment section. Yes, if you think that, go ahead, type me a Y. If you think no, go ahead, type in the comment section. Will, what do you think? Was this the right decision from Lane Kiffin?
I believe it's the right decision. It's the wrong way of going about it.
Yep.
Lane needs to stand up and be a man and say, hey, I have done all that I can at Ole Miss, and I agree with him. I think that he's had the best 3-year run in Ole Miss history,
yes,
in any history that really counts. But could you ever really see Ole Miss getting the types of players, the types of recruits to truly go on a run and win a national championship? I don't know that I believe that. Do I believe LSU can? Yes, because I've seen it with my own eyes from multiple different coaches in my lifespan, right? They've done it in the modern era. So if I'm Lane Kiffin, yes, I will go to LSU. I think I can get better recruits, and I'm going to get better players in my eyes with a chance to truly win a national title. He just handled it incorrectly.
Yeah, I agree. There's not going to be a really great way to handle that. It was always going to be messy, especially, though, when it's a guy like Lane Kiffin. I think he made the right decision. You got to ask, where is my ceiling higher? It's higher at LSU over Ole Miss. 10 times out of 10, 100 times out of 100. I'm curious to see how this affects his recruiting strategy because we all know he leaned heavily on the portal at Ole Miss. Was that because he didn't prefer high school recruiting, or is that because Mississippi doesn't have the best high school recruiting base? We're going to find that out when he's in Louisiana, because when you're recruiting at LSU in that state, there is a load of talent. And let me tell you this, they all want to be in Baton Rouge 100%. When they go to college. So look for that to be a big uptick and a big change of how he runs his programs. But all in all, I do think he made the right decision, but I also agree with you. He did not handle it the right way. All right, let's talk about some college football playoff rankings because we are T-minus 12 minutes away from that. These are how they looked the last time we talked to each and every one of you guys. 25th was Arizona, 24th Tulane, Georgia Tech, Pittsburgh, SMU. They rounded out your top 25. Georgia Tech lost over the weekend 2-1 Georgia Bulldogs. Curious if that drops them out of the top 25. 20, Arizona State, 19 Tennessee, 18 UVA, Virginia, 17 USC, 16 Texas. Really curious to see where Virginia jumps up. Man, they just keep winning. Who would have seen that coming from Tony Elliott in the Who's? Not myself. Number 15, you got Michigan, Vanderbilt at 14, Utah at 13, 12 at Miami, 11 BYU. Out of these 5 teams you just looked at, only one of them plays a conference championship game this weekend. Of course, that is BYU. Number 10, Alabama. They will be playing Georgia in the SEC title. Number 9, Notre Dame. Oklahoma has a great spot. They're pretty much locked in with a bye. Very, very good to be an Oklahoma Sooner. Ole Miss, same boat. Oregon, same exact boat at 7 and 6. Texas Tech, they will be in Arlington, Texas this Saturday, taking on BYU. Number 4, Georgia. They will be in Atlanta. Basically, their second home stadium at Mercedes-Benz. Texas A&M, they were at 3. Curious to see where they drop. Obviously, 2 Indiana, 1 Ohio State. But this is where I want to go to next. A&M's loss to Texas. Number 1, I did not see that coming. Number 2, where do we think they drop? Because right now, the Vegas odds have A&M as the highest percentage chance of non-conference, to make it, or non-conference championship teams, to make it into the college football playoff. Does that mean they've locked down a 5 seed?
I don't know if it means they've locked down a 5 seed, but it did make me chuckle when you said you didn't see them potentially losing to Texas, when it's like, of course they were going to lose to Texas.
Yeah, that's fair.
College
it's A&M.
football never lets us have it
and
easy.
It's A&M.
It's battered Aggie syndrome to the oomph degree. Even when they have their best season since, well, really memory, right? There was never going to be a shot where they went undefeated. That's just not the plight of Texas A&M.
Well, it's also hilarious, too, and we'll get back to the A&M Aggies, but it's so funny that Texas can look at the end of the year and say, and I hate Texas, but this is objectively hilarious, that they can go at the end of the year and say, our 2 biggest rivals had 2 unbelievable seasons. They'll be in the playoff. A&M having the best season in their history, and it wasn't good enough for Oklahoma or A&M to end up beating us.
And they get to keep saying, hey, Texas A&M, you've never been to an SEC championship game. You've never been to a Big 12 championship.
3,000 days since you beat us.
Right. They just get to keep hammering them with it. And I think, and I'm biased a little bit, I think Oregon's win over UW should allow them to jump ahead of Texas A&M. It's no secret Texas A&M might have had the easiest SEC schedule in the history of the SEC.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, every team that they played that was any good at all was at the very, very bottom of the conference, right? The only good team that they played, the only one, was the Texas Longhorns, and they didn't take care of business. Now, in the non-con, they did do a great job beating Notre Dame on the road. A little bit of help there. But, hey, you got the job done. I do think there is a world where they fall behind the Oregon Ducks. I see a world where Oregon is basically the barrier and they're one right in front of them.
It's funny, you know the Mendoza line, which is funny because we're talking about college football. It's like the Reed line or the Elko line.
Yep.
Anything under the Elko line in the SEC, they beat. Anything over it, which is pretty much midway through the conference, the only team they played was Texas, and they took the loss. Speaking of Texas, do you think they have a shot at the playoff? I'm going to ask you first, type Y for yes, in for no down below, and then I'm going to turn it over to Will Ortner because, frankly, I personally don't think so at all. We've already touched on this a little bit, but I would be absolutely shocked if they ended up making it.
I would agree with you. I do not think that they deserve a shot. I think there's a chance that the committee puts them in a ranking, I don't know, let's say a 12 or a 13, where they could say, oh, we got to tune into Sunday, because then there will be more and more chatter about it. Remember, we do have to understand that this is a television product at the end of the day, and what's going to get more views? Texas being in the hunt. Should they be in the playoff? No, of course not. Do I think there's a chance that they are one of the first or second teams out just so that people are excited for Sunday? Yes, I do think there's a chance at that.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting weekend. Conference championship weekend is always so much fun. Of course, it'll lead right into Sunday when they'll do Selection Sunday earlier in that day. Jack, you just flashed them on the screen. Let's go over all the kind of where we think these teams sit right now.
Right.
There are 6 locks, in my opinion, and Will's. Ohio State, Indiana, Georgia, Texas Tech, Oregon, and Texas A&M. In my opinion, those are 6 locks. They're going to make it no matter what. Likely in Ole Miss, Oklahoma, and Alabama. I would even honestly be fine throwing those 3 in the locks category.
I 100% agree with you.
I feel like Alabama, no matter what happens, they're going to make it in.
Agreed.
Ole Miss, it's a 12 team. They'll make it in as well. And Oklahoma's not going to get out sitting on the bench. The bubble teams, right? Teams we've discussed a lot already. Notre Dame, Miami, Vanderbilt, Texas, and James Madison. It feels like one of these teams are getting it.
Yeah, I think that is completely fair. I think in my personal opinion, barring some crazy,
maybe 2 with JMU.
Not only does Duke have to win, though, Duke has to win, and the committee has to look at everything around that last seed and say, well, I guess we should put JMU in over an ACC conference champion, and I just don't know if I see a world where they do that. If they do choose to put JMU in there, then you know for sure Miami is going to be in.
But it's highest ranked conference champions. And so
I understand.
JMU will be higher ranked than Duke if they win.
Should be.
But they will.
They probably
I guess we'll find out tonight. That's why you got to stay tuned. Winning in BYU, Virginia, Tulane, and North Texas. BYU is playing Texas Tech in the Big 12 Conference Championship game this Saturday. That one kicks off at 11 Central, Arlington, Texas. Virginia is taking on Duke, and if Duke beats Virginia, like we were kind of just talking about, then all chaos would ensue. There would be a chance that 2 G5 teams would get bids in because, like they've told you, 4 highest-ranked conference champions go in. Didn't say which conference. Everybody just automatically thought that was going to be the 4 Power 4 conference championship winners. No. That's not what they said. If Duke wins it right now, they're 7-5.
They're 7-5.
They're not going to be in the top 25. I could tell you that right now. JMU might be. And if they win their conference, which they're supposed to, people potentially think there's a good chance. then they would most likely get in, and then you choose an at-large, and things would get really, really spicy. But that's what we love about college football, Will. And if you are with us, if you love college football as well, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and like today's video. Let's see how we're sitting. Oh, no, Jack. This is the worst ratio I've seen since we've done this.
I was going to say, like...
It's rough.
645 people watching. Incredible. Almost
Amazing.
700. It just jumped up.
Amazing.
35 likes. Have you ever seen a ratio that bad?
No, it reminds me of like a middle school party.
I've never
with the boys.
I've never seen a ratio that bad. We're up to 40 likes now. We should
52.
We should be to
at least 100.
We should be to 150.
Yep, I could not agree.
I mean, like we should be to 350, but I'm not going to ask for that. We should be to 150.
I could not agree.
We just jumped up to 76. We just jumped up to 90.
90?
Look at that.
Okay, we can definitely get 150.
We can
Make
get to
sure to hit
150.
that
Let's
thumbs
do it.
up button, ladies and gentlemen, if you love college football, if you love free coverage. Again, we do this all for 100% free. We just ask for a little bit of support, and it does not cost you a dime. Just hit that big thumbs up button. Like today's video. We appreciate it, and we appreciate each and every one of you guys. We've hit a lot of these college football playoff talking points. However, there's one we didn't. Ohio State, Indiana. They're going to face off this weekend in the Big Ten championship game. Right now, Ohio State's going to stay at 1. Indiana's going to stay at 2. Regardless of outcome, are they both locks to be top 4 seeds?
I think they should be, especially if the game is close. Now, I do think there is a world where, I don't know, like let's say Julian Sand gets hurt, right? And then Ohio State gets blown out. It's a type of injury similar to like what happened last year with Georgia, right? Carson Beck has a bad shoulder injury. Now they have to go to Gunnar Stockton. You have to go to the backup at Ohio State. Maybe there's a world where they fall to like 5 or 6. Other than that, other than a catastrophic injury and a big blowout loss, yes, I think they're both locks.
Yeah, I think they're locks as well. Whoever wins that will be the one. Whoever loses it, most likely going to be the 4. Projected college football playoff rankings, because we are 2 minutes, 20 seconds away. Here's how they sit right now, in my opinion. Number 25, the Navy Midshipmen. Number 24, Iowa. 23, James Madison, the Dukes. Going to make things interesting. Number 22, Houston. 21, North Texas without Eric Morris, might I add. Number 20, Arizona. 19, Tulane. 18, Michigan. 17, Virginia. 16, USC. 15, you'll find Texas, moving them up ever so slightly. Number 14, that's where Vanderbilt is. 13 is Utah. 12 is BYU. 11 is Notre Dame. However, I actually think that Texas is going to be above Vanderbilt because of the head-to-head.
I was going to say, am I crazy for thinking that Texas actually might even jump Utah?
No, I don't think so. I don't think you're crazy at all in saying that.
I think that there's a lot of backing of Texas. I think there is also a lot of understanding of what this is. And I don't mean to play too much into the tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. Texas is going to be as close as they can possibly get them to getting in without actually getting them in.
Yeah, so actually would not be surprised one bit to see them above Vanderbilt. Number 10, got Miami. 9, Alabama. 8, Oklahoma. 7, Ole Miss. 6, Texas A&M, jumping down from 3 to 6 into the top 5. Good. A&M's out of it. You get a little more color in there. Let's throw some green in with the red. Oregon, Texas Tech, Georgia up to 3, Indiana at 2, Ohio State at 1. Here we go.
We got there.
Are you ready for the new playoff rankings? Type those me's down below. Like the video. 2 likes away from 150. I need to see who's pumped up. I need to see who's excited. Ladies and gentlemen,
go.
This is going to be the last time you see me and Will Ortner on any one of these things because our Cincinnati's taking care of Sunday because we're going to be busy covering our NFL games. So I need you guys to say those me's in the comments section. I need you to like today's video. I see Swifty, Mike Nintendo Master, Tony Fuentes, Ty Man the Buckeye. I see John, Jr., Tony, Jerry, Ty Man, Darren, Matthew, Mally, Diller, Dylan, Chaos, Brian, Finn City, Mally. We got all the people we could want, all the people we could need. Appreciate you guys for being here. And Jack, are we ready to roll? Get into these playoff rankings? Let's do it. You are watching College Football Now. My name is Joey Peterson. That is Will Ortner. So happy that you are with us tonight. They are about to reveal the fourth college football playoff rankings of this season, and these might be the most important because they'll set the stage for Sunday. Obviously, Conference Championship Weekend will play out as it will, but these rankings will tell you what the committee's thoughts are going into the final rankings, which will be out, of course, on Sunday. Big topic of discussion. Who should be in, Miami or Notre Dame? Feels like they're most likely going to pick one of these teams out of the two. Will, we've discussed it a little bit already. Want you guys to let me know in the comment section, where do you lie between these two?
I don't know how it's not Miami. The games have to matter.
Yep.
I understand that Notre Dame is a better product right now. Miami's losses are way worse than Notre Dame's. Here's the problem. One of those key losses that Notre Dame has, it's MIA. That also equals the U. Miami beat Notre Dame. It has to matter because if the games don't matter, then we will never get good games at the beginning of the year again. We're going to get Tennessee versus the Citadel times 3, and I can't have that to start my college football Saturday.
Well, and you're already seeing that. Don't know if you saw Alabama's schedule change today.
Oh, weird. They already changed the schedule that was made 15 years ago?
They had a home-and-home scheduled for 2026 with USF. They moved that to 2032, and in their place, they scheduled Chattanooga.
Well, I don't know if you know this, Joey, but I was actually scheduled to go on a date with Sydney Sweeney in about 2 or 3 days, but we've moved that to 2036, just like Alabama. I wanted to go on a tough road game. She wanted to wait.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't blame her. Actually, I do blame her.
No, I don't blame her. She's doing great without me.
Make sure you guys subscribe to the video. 423,133 subs. That's what we're sitting at right now. Let's see if we could get to 423,200 subscribers by the end of this stream. They're chopping it up right now. We'll get you playoff rankings as they come in, but this is your one-stop shop for everything when it comes to the NBA, the NFL, and, of course, college football as well. We've been here live for every single one of the playoff rankings. We're going to continue to be live for every single one of the playoff rankings, all playoff games, anything you can need. You got it right here. So just lock us in, hit that subscribe button, and let's get that thing to 423,142. Outside of the Miami and Notre Dame conundrum, which it feels like they've been moving Miami closer and closer up, here is how we project the CFP rankings to be tonight. Number 25, Navy. Number 24, Iowa. 23, James Madison. 22, Houston. 21, North Texas as their head coach. Just took a new job with the Oklahoma State Cowboys last week. Number 20, Arizona. 19, Tulane, their head coach. New job with the Florida Gators this week. Number 18, Michigan. Virginia at 17. USC at 16. This is where it's going to get spicy. Texas 15, Vanderbilt 14. However, under further consideration, do not be surprised if those two are flipped and Texas is over Vandy. Number 13, Utah. 12, BYU. 11, Notre Dame. 10, Miami. 9, Alabama. 8, Oklahoma. 7, Ole Miss. Texas A&M is going to drop from 3 to 6. And into the top 5, you got Oregon, Texas Tech, Georgia, Indiana, and Ohio State as well. And I'm just getting word from the producer upstairs that we've got the first 5 rankings in the college football playoff. And for some reason, Georgia Tech moved up a spot with a loss against Georgia.
It's a quality loss, Joey. It's a quality loss. Come on
I
now.
guess quality enough to move them up in those rankings. We'll have those coming for you guys in just a second. Producer Jack is working on it. But this is going to be a massive weekend. Conference Championship weekend. Who's in, who's out. Of course, it'll all be figured out fully when we get to Sunday. 25 through 21. JMU, North Texas, Iowa, Georgia Tech, Houston. Is this committee setting the precedent for James Madison getting in if Duke beats Virginia?
It definitely kind of feels that way because they were not ranked at all, and now all of a sudden, James Madison finding their way in.
Yeah, they're finding their way in. And again, if Duke beats Virginia this weekend in the ACC championship, they're taking the 4 highest ranked conference champions, not the Power 4 conference champions. 4 highest ranked, so that could be JMU. Top 20, Tulane, Michigan, Arizona at 18, Virginia at 17, USC at 16. Arizona moving up 7 spots to number 18. And Virginia, just a team that kind of refuses to lose, it feels like. Well,
what's funny about this Virginia team, and we didn't even get a chance to talk about it, is remember they played a non-conference game against NC State.
And they lost it.
And that is an ACC team, but because it was non-con, it didn't really count. I'm fascinated to see if they can get it done and win the conference.
Number 15, you'll find Utah. The Utes go down 2 spots.
Yep.
Number 14, what we were talking about, we expected a flip between Texas and Vanderbilt, and we get our answer on where the College Football Playoff Committee sees the Vanderbilt Commodores, and that is at number 14. Diego Pavia absolutely rolling right now, but it's pretty obvious they don't really have a shot.
No, I think at this point what you can say is Utah is eliminated, although I think we already knew that, and Vanderbilt has now officially been eliminated because they don't have another game to go, and they are not going to be able to jump up the spots that they need, especially when Texas also doesn't play a game. They will not be jumping Texas. Vanderbilt is done.
Now, why will they not be jumping Texas? Well, because Texas beat them.
Yep.
Head-to-head.
Yep.
Same thing you're going to see with Notre Dame, Miami, if it gets to that point as discussions continue. Even though Texas has less losses than Vanderbilt, and they have a worse loss than Vanderbilt does, Texas still was one of Vanderbilt's losses, and it's Texas over Vandy. This is where it's going to get interesting.
Wow.
Number 12. It's all about the U.
That is
Miami
shocking.
Stays in the same place they were the week before at number 12. Now this is going to be interesting. Who is number 11? Do they move Notre Dame and Miami to one spot to each other?
I still think you have to leave BYU unless you're saying, hey, because if it's Notre Dame, Miami next to each other, how is Miami not above Notre Dame? It has to be BYU.
It's above, like Texas above Vanderbilt. They're setting that precedent already. BYU will be at number 11, which means they're not going to be back-to-back with Notre Dame, which means Selection Sunday is going to be absolutely hell for the playoff committee. Does this surprise you?
No, I actually think this is a genius move by the committee. Because if they put Notre Dame now at 10, what you are saying is if BYU loses, which is what the committee expects, and it's, I think, what most people expect, now you can put Miami and Notre Dame together, and that will be for that final spot. But it does feel like this is maybe the ultimate high IQ move from the committee.
4D chess. That's what you like to see.
Gotta
BYU will be playing Texas Tech this weekend. That one will kick off 11 Central, Arlington, Texas, AT&T Stadium, Big 12 championship game. BYU's in a situation, they win, they're in, simple as that. Number 10, that's where we find the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And although we've talked about a lot tonight, they are one of the teams, regardless of the head-to-head win or loss over Miami, which they did lose that game. It is hard to deny that they are playing some of the best football in the country right now.
Agreed, 100%. If Miami and Notre Dame didn't play each other, still had 2 losses, Notre Dame is in my opinion. The problem is that they did.
Yep. And I don't care that it was week 1, frankly.
Agreed.
They played a game on the football field.
Agreed.
And last time I checked, the F in CFP stands for football.
I thought it stood for something else.
It doesn't. Number 9, you find the Alabama Crimson Tide, fresh off of a win on the road, Jordan-Hare Stadium. Actually, kind of crept up on you. 6th straight time they've beaten the Auburn Tigers. Regardless, Alabama squeaked out of that one. It was a very, very close game. It was one of those situations. They lose to Auburn, they're probably not in it. Regardless, they'll face Georgia in the SEC championship game this weekend. There's some chatter about them falling out with a loss. I frankly don't buy into any of that.
I think if the committee kicks Alabama out with the loss, that is a bad precedent that they don't want to have with conference championship games. And they've already set the precedent when SMU lost last year that they wouldn't kick a team out for an extra game. To me, win or lose, Alabama is in. And if they kick them out, you are going to have a hell to pay.
Yeah, Greg Sankey might be at the league office with pitchfork, torch in one hand. And also, that would just be the perfect time for Greg Sankey to say, you know what, screw this. I'm going to create my own college football playoff just in the SEC, and then it all comes crumbling down. So if you think Alabama falls out with a loss, I promise you, you are wrong. 8-7, Oklahoma, Texas A&M. The Aggies falling down 4 spots and lost to Texas. Is that more than you thought?
Yes, I did not think that they would fall past Ole Miss, especially with Lane leaving. Now, maybe because Charlie Weiss Jr. came back, there's a good chunk of that offensive staff that even though they are going to go to LSU, they are getting to coach with Ole Miss through the playoff. Maybe that's what allowed them to stay there. Maybe it's a little bit of strength of schedule as well. Obviously, we've already talked about how easy that A&M schedule was, but I did not see the Aggies falling past 6.
Yeah, I do think a little bit is that schedule. The fact that every single SEC team they beat finished in the bottom half of the conference. And again, we get it. Their losses to those teams are in part, one of those tally marks is because Texas A&M did beat them, so you can't just solely go off of that. But Ole Miss has better wins.
Yep.
They have a better loss against Georgia.
Yep.
And so I actually am not surprised one bit the fact that Ole Miss is at 6 and Texas A&M is at 7. The rest of your top 5 is in, starting with this 3. Oregon at 5, Texas Tech at 4, Georgia at 3, Indiana at 2, Ohio State at 1. For the top 5 teams, I should say, these top 4 will be playing in conference championship games this weekend. So suspect a little bit of movement, but not a ton. Of course, Oregon, they will not be in the Big Ten championship. That's going to be between Ohio State and Indiana. Oregon finds himself in a great spot, not having to play this weekend, get themselves a nice little bye to get ready to go for that first round.
No, it's the perfect spot to be in. Oregon fans have talked about this, especially after last year. Hey, you're the number 1 team in the country. You're the only team that's undefeated. And what's your reward? Hey, you get to play the Rose Bowl against Ohio State, the team that was really the best team in the country. Now this year, hey, you technically still get a bye because you're not playing in the conference championship game.
Yep.
So you get to rest and recover. There's a lot of hope that they are going to be able to get some of their players back that have been out on injury, namely DeCorian Moore. If they can get their top wide receiver back, watch out for what this Oregon team can be. I know that they're going to lose both of their coordinators. Guess what? They're still going to coach with them through the college football playoff. This Oregon team, if they can get healthy, watch the heck out.
Here is how we sit right now with the college football playoff bracket, as Jack's going to get that updated real quick with 11 and 12. Oh, they don't have 11 and 12 up there. Interesting. Regardless of that, there's going to be some really interesting matchups that will take place in the first round. Right now, A&M Notre Dame, a little bit of a rematch, this time in Kyle Field, would be the 3rd time that those two teams have played in their last 26 games.
Kind of cool.
Really exciting stuff. Very cool stuff right there. Oklahoma, Alabama, another rematch in the first round. This time it would be in Oklahoma instead of in Bryant-Denny Stadium. Out of those two matchups right there, who do you believe would be able to come out on top of those games?
Believe it or not, I do think Notre Dame would figure it out. Notre Dame played Texas A&M to within 1 point. If their holder could get the ball down, that game goes into overtime, and I think Notre Dame is a much better team than what they were in week 2. When I look at this Oklahoma versus Alabama game, Kalen DeBoer doesn't usually lose to a team 2 times in a row. Now, again, Ty Simpson would really have to take a gigantic step forward in terms of not throwing the ball to Oklahoma's defense when he's facing pressure. But remember, Alabama basically out everything Oklahoma except for on the scoreboard. They had more yards, more first downs, more time of possession, more third downs converted. That Alabama team did much better than Oklahoma. Oklahoma just won on the scoreboard. I think you'd find the true result if they were to play each other again.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Oklahoma, Will, is that everybody seems to out everything them every single time they play. So let's see if that trend kind of continues throughout the rest of this college football playoff. See if they can still keep on stacking wins. A little alarming, though, with what happened this past weekend with LSU. So this is how it sits. Of course, Oregon would play most likely either Tulane. Let's say Tulane wins and Virginia wins. Virginia would be in that 11 spot.
They would be in the 11. They
would
are
be in the
ahead
11,
of
yes. And then
of Tulane.
Yes. Right now we're waiting for, of course, those conference championship games to be finalized. Grade the rankings down below in the comment section. A, B, C, D, or F. How do you feel about them? Will, I feel like we've had this same sentiment. We've kind of shared it. feels like the committee is pretty dialed in right now.
Yep.
I don't have much of a problem with a lot of these rankings. I think I'd agree with a lot of what they're saying.
I think I give them an A for what brilliance they have done by setting this up. Think about it. Right now, there's one team that separates Miami and Notre Dame. That team, BYU, plays a conference championship game. If they lose, they will drop. Now they get to make a decision with Miami and Notre Dame, drawing up more conversations from fans of college football, more conversations that will lead to more eyeballs. I also think it's brilliant to have Texas A&M drop ever so slightly, right? Because now there's a conversation, well, should that A&M team have actually been ahead of Ole Miss? Because Ole Miss doesn't have their freaking coach. And the most brilliant thing that they did, Joey, they didn't put in an 11 or a 12.
Yep.
Because they don't want anyone to have a true idea about who's going to be that 11th team and who's that 12th team. Because if they went based on rankings right now, depending on who won, it would be Virginia and Tulane. But if Duke wins, which I do think is the doomsday scenario for the College Football Playoff Committee, it gets real fun with a lot of debates going into that Sunday rankings reveal and final College Football Playoff bracket.
Yeah, regardless, it's going to be either Tulane or Virginia, maybe Tulane, JMU, and then you just got to decide what to do at that 10 spot, right? Do you have Notre Dame? Do you have Miami? And they're going to give themselves an extra 5 days to figure all of that out. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Those are our top 25 college football playoff rankings for the second to last time. Next time we give you them, they will be final. They are what they are, last ones of the season. Speaking of top 25, we are 25, now 26 subscribers away from 423,200. I just need 26 more people to hit that subscribe button. We'll try to see if we can get there as quickly as possible, but don't go anywhere because coming up very, very shortly, we're going to break down our bowl projections with the conference or the college football playoff rankings with the seasons being over. We know who's bowl eligible. We know who's not. We're going to tell you who we've got playing in each matchup for every bowl game so that way you can get pumped up for bowl season because, well, it truly is one of the best times of the year.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, and I'll tell you right now, in the Ortner household, we got bowl projections and predictions, and whoever wins, they get bragging rights for the entire year.
Cash prize or just bragging rights?
Bragging rights is always more important than a cash prize. Come on now, Joey. You have to understand who gets to be king of the house. Right now, it is Peanut the dog. Peanut the dog is dominating. I'm coming for that crown, Peanut.
We've done the NFL pick'ems all season long. My wife and my little sister battling for first place.
Dominant.
Third place, my mom. The girls are taking over in the Peterson family household when it comes to the National Football League.
Football's for everyone.
20 subs away. Keep on hitting that sub button. Now 19. If you have not joined us yet, it's free. It's easy to do. It's big. It's red. I can't give you much more reason to do it. So subscribe to the channel, daily college football coverage, right here at Chat Sports. Jack, it looks like you'd like something to say. Yes. Let me look at them, please. Do you mind showing me the rankings? So that, or the bracket, if you don't mind, so that way I can make sure that that is all possibilities. I believe that they are. Let's see.
Yeah, so Rose would be a possibility.
Rose is good.
Cotton and Orange are not good. Yep, so Cotton is Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, do Indiana, A&M, Oregon Tech, and then Ole Miss, Georgia, if you don't mind.
Very, very fun. I'll tell you what, right now, I do wish there was a world. I hope there's a world where my Oregon Duckies do end up in the Cotton Bowl. Could be fun times.
That'd be able to for you'd be able to go watch that game.
I would. I'd have to go harass sideline reporter extraordinaire Dusty Harris.
Fun fact for you, not to get all Paul Blart on us, but I had Rose Bowl tickets purchased last year for what could have been Tennessee versus the Oregon Ducks. My wife and I, as soon as they went on sale, we're like, you know what? It's the Rose Bowl. It's New Year's Day. Screw it. We cannot let this opportunity go past. We bought them quickly. We're like, they're only going to go up from here. Then you got your just absolute dome knocked off against Ohio State. And we ended up losing money on the tickets.
You know what? That's a downer, but I will tell you this. Mama and Papa Ortner did make the trip down there for the Rose Bowl, and they now might hate Ohio State fans more than Jack does.
Really?
Big hatred of Ohio State. They call them the scum of the earth. And they don't even like Michigan. They're neutral.
I had a lot of really good buddies who made their way up to Columbus for Tennessee, Ohio State last year.
Rough one.
They did not enjoy their time. They did not. I didn't enjoy it from the couch at home either. And so I could see how they did not enjoy it from being in the stadium itself. All righty, we got a lot of bowl games to discuss, a lot of bowl games to get into. We appreciate every single one of you who's still rocking with us. Only 13 more people need to subscribe to the channel, and once you do, that's going to help us out a ton. We will be so appreciative, as we always are, for every single one of you guys. College football playoff rankings live, college football coverage. We've had you covered for the head coaching searches all offseason long, and that's not going to stop because Penn State still doesn't have their guy, Will.
Shout out Crumble Cookie, man. That's crazy. We always kind of knew, though, that BYU, if they wanted to get into sports, and they really are starting to in this NIL era, they've got more money than most people and most teams and most colleges. So if it really gets into a scenario where the BYU faithful, the Cougar faithful, are willing to really spend out, hey, maybe BYU is going to be in a few more college football playoffs other than just this year if they win the Big 12 championship.
Watch out for the Mountain Mormons, man. Jack? Okay. Yes. Great. Sounds good.
Sounds great.
All righty. We got college football bowl projections coming up. Jack, if you wouldn't mind turning yourself down just a little bit. We got college football bowl projections coming up for you. Don't go anywhere. Those are coming at you right now. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into College Football Now. My name is Joey Peterson. That is Will Ortner. And coming up on today's show, it's one of my favorite shows we do every single year because we're getting into the best time of the year. Of course, I'm not talking about Christmas. I'm not talking about the holidays. I'm talking about bowl season. And right now, we're going to predict every single bowl game. So strap in tight, get your popcorn ready, and make sure to like that video. If you are pumped up for college football bowl season, like we already told you, it's the best time of the year. Some fun matchups, some fun bowls, and we're predicting them all right here on today's show. So with that, we'll get ready for the rest of the video. Starting off with our bowl games. This one is a projection after the first round games. Rose Bowl, the most beautiful game in college football, Will. I think it's going to be Ohio State, Alabama.
Yeah, I think that's a fascinating matchup. And if you're not going to get the traditional Pac-12 versus Big Ten matchup, you want Ohio State, Alabama. I would think Ohio State would roll.
I think Georgia takes another trip to New Orleans to play in the Sugar Bowl, and they do it against Ole Miss, which would be very, very interesting given their coaching situation.
Yeah, I do think it would be fun to see Ole Miss. Maybe they could go on a little bit of run. Wouldn't that be fun?
Texas Tech, Oregon, that's who I've got playing in the Cotton Bowl. That one's going to be New Year's Eve. That one also will be at AT&T Stadium. I think this would be a really fun matchup. I've got a feeling Texas Tech could ruin a couple of teams' playoff chances.
I think there's an option there, but if Oregon gets healthy, they might be the scariest team not named Ohio State or Indiana.
Indiana, speaking of them, they have Texas A&M in the Orange Bowl. That one's going to be an 11 o'clock Central kick, Hard Rock Stadium. That one's going to be a lot of fun. A&M's got something to prove after that loss to the Texas Longhorns. You let me know down below, what is your dream first-round matchup? Let me know in the comments section right now. We just let you know who we think is going to make it into the quarterfinals. Let me know what your dream first-round matchup is in the comment section. On to the rest of the bowl games. Let's start in the West Coast. The Los Angeles Bowl. This one on December 13th. Washington, Boise State.
The battle of the Peterson Bowl. Both Peterson obviously coached at Boise State. Then he coached at Washington. UW would roll Boise.
Jacksonville State versus Troy. That is the Salute to Veterans Bowl. That one, of course, kicking off at December 16th, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Let's talk about a couple of teams that might be playing without head coaches. James Madison against USF in the Cure Bowl.
I think this would be a fun game because I don't think you're going to see a lot of defense. When you have a head coach leave, sometimes the offenses still keep clicking, but the defensive guys, hey, they're looking for somewhere else to go.
The 68 Ventures Bowl, that one kicking off on December 17th, Coastal Carolina against Central Michigan in Hancock-Whitney Stadium. A battle of the states, Arkansas State, Missouri State, in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. That one kicking off on December 19th in Brooks Stadium. That one has a chance. Who wouldn't want to go play in Myrtle Beach?
I'll tell you right now, I hear it's great for golf, and it must be great for college football as well.
The Gasparilla Bowl, one of my personal favorites. Old Dominion, NC State. NC State has had an interesting season. They've played spoiler to some teams across the country, but they have really struggled to get something going consistently this year.
I still think that they would take care of business against Old Dominion. I mean, there is a difference between Power 4 talent and Group of 5.
Famous Idaho Potato Bowl.
Best bowl.
Nowhere but Boise, Idaho, Albertson Stadium. That one's going to be Toledo against San Diego State. Would be an interesting matchup, of course, a couple of days before Christmas. That one would kick off. I personally think it is one of my favorite bowl games. Speaking of that, what's your favorite bowl game? You let me know down below in that comment section. It could be Pop-Tarts Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Orange Bowl, Rose Bowl, or Gasparilla Bowl, okay? I'll let you take any one you want, or the Idaho Potato Bowl. Let me know down below in the comment section. While you're in the comment section, you will see a link to our awesome sponsor of today's show. That's our friends at Prize Picks. It is the holiday season, which means it's the best time of the year for sports. Bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It is all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which game to watch, there's one place where it feels good to be right, and that's Prize Picks. My wife, coming into this season, couldn't even name 4 college football teams, and then we started playing on Prize Picks, and now every Friday night, we're breaking down who she's picking for a lineup. It's the most exciting way to watch football. On Prize Picks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose Flex Play, and if you want the biggest payouts, go for the Power Play. They all have early payouts as well, what makes Prize Picks so great. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, which mine usually do, you may have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. The link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. The Boca Raton Bowl, this one kicking off between Florida International, FIU, and Miami of Ohio, December 23rd, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. A little bit different of a Miami right there.
Yeah, not quite the same. Would Miami be able to handle the warm weather in December?
Interesting question. I like FIU over Miami of Ohio. The New Orleans Bowl, that one will be on December 23rd against Southern Miss and Georgia Southern. Southern Miss, honestly, sneakily put together a really, really impressive season. That one will be in the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. Speaking of Louisiana, how about Louisiana versus Louisiana Tech? The Raging Cajuns taking on La Tech. Who do you like in this one?
I think I like Louisiana Tech in this one. They seem like a team that in bowl season, they just always get the W.
Hawaii, California, they're facing off in the Hawaii Bowl. And I'll tell you this much, Will, if there's any bowl game I would like to play as a player, I think it's the Hawaii Bowl.
I'll tell you right now, my former college recruit and teammate, Winterhawk Layton, is a coach over at the University of Hawaii, and he tells me that it is beautiful year-round. He really likes to send me pictures of Hawaii in December for some reason.
Not a hard trip at all for Cal to make the trip over to Hawaii. Northwestern versus Western Michigan, the game above Sports Bowl. That one's going to be played at Ford Field. Northwestern, they've had an interesting season as well. I think it'd be fun to see them take it on Western Michigan.
I think that should be a fun game because it's 2 group of 5 teams. Yes, I know that Northwestern's in the Power 4, but let's be honest about what they really are.
Kansas State versus Minnesota in the Rate Bowl. One of your first bigger matchups today, of course, Power 4 on Power 4. Kansas State season has been maybe the most interesting of all in college football. Some wins, a lot of losses, but you're rowing the boat.
Yeah, I'm rowing the boat, man. Me and my bald brother, Pete J. Fleck. Favorite interview I've ever got to do. Great dude.
The First Responder Bowl. This one will be in Dallas, Texas. Texas State against Utah State. That's going to bring us to the Military Bowl. Navy against Wake Forest. Navy, I think they're so impressive of what they've been able to do in back-to-back seasons with a new head coach. And also, you got to remember, absolutely zero NIL for the service academies.
Very true, but I ride with Wake Forest. Why? Because Hawkinson High School graduate Sawyer Racanelli is running wide receiver over there for the Demon Deacons. Give me Wake Forest.
I'll take Navy any day of the week. The Pinstripe Bowl, ending things where they started in the James Franklin era. Penn State against Pittsburgh's Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. Does Penn State continue their little hot streak they've got going on over the last 6 or so games?
No, I think that the Pitt Panthers, they go in and roll.
We're talking baseball with Yankee Stadium. How about Fenway Park as well? Shout out to producer Jack. Duke against Memphis. Memphis without their head coach. Duke, which could be fresh off of an ACC championship game and win. Who do you like between these two?
Is this the battle of the most interesting teams that also kind of suck a bowl? Because both teams have moments of greatness. Both teams also have moments of not-so-goodness. I think I lean Duke.
Ohio is going to escape from the cold weather. They're going to go to the Arizona Bowl, where they will take on Fresno State. This is the bowl we've all been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen. The Pop-Tarts Bowl, Georgia Tech, TCU, Camping World Stadium, everybody's favorite bowl of the last couple of years. Could be also a really fun matchup.
Is Georgia Tech the worst team to put in the Pop-Tarts Bowl? I don't think that there would be any fun had by any of that coaching staff if they won and had to eat the Pop-Tarts.
Yeah, Brent Key, maybe not the best coach to put in that situation. Regardless, I think it'd be a fun game between those two. I got a question. Should the Pop-Tarts Bowl be a New Year's Six Bowl? Let me know down below. Give me a yes or a no. I see Will shaking his head.
No.
You know what? College football's fun. I'm all for it. Make it a New Year's Six. New Mexico, Washington State. That's going to be the New Mexico Bowl in University Stadium, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Out of these two, you like what X got going on at New Mexico, or do you think Washington State's going to get that win?
I like what X got going on over at New Mexico. I think he's a fantastic coach. He did a great job at Idaho. But unfortunately for me, they call me West Coast Will, and everyone knows I love the Cougs. I got to go with Wazoo.
My alma mater will be taking on Miami in the Gator Bowl, December 27th, Everbank Stadium, Jacksonville, Florida. I think this would be a pretty fun matchup. You know, you got two teams that are known as blue bloods in this sport, have had a lot of success historically. That would just be a fun matchup to see, regardless of the opt-outs, and I've got a feeling Miami could have a big one at quarterback, most likely. The Texas Bowl, I've been an attendee of this, not just once, but twice. Houston, UTSA, NRG Stadium. I think this would be a fun one. I think Houston would have the upper hand, but I'd be excited to see what the Roadrunners would be able to bring to the table.
I think this would be the type of game where it's a little bit of back and forth. And when you get into the end of these bowl games, as long as the game is close in the fourth quarter, that's all that really matters.
Frankly, I could not agree with you more. Birmingham Bowl, East Carolina, Delaware Protective Stadium in Birmingham, Alabama. Western Kentucky taking on Kennesaw State in the Independence Bowl. That one's going to be on December 30th, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. The Music City Bowl. I think this would be pretty fun. LSU, Illinois. I think the end score of that one, how many points over under? 21.5?
I think that there's a world where there's less than 21 points scored, and I also think that Illinois kind of rolls in this one. Illinois, they got a lot to play for. LSU, what are you playing for other than to impress your new head football coach?
BYU, USC, they'll be taking on in the Alamo Bowl.
Great game.
I think this one would be a lot of fun, Will.
I think it's going to be a great game, especially with Kalani Sitake signing that extension, staying with BYU. That being said, Lincoln Riley, dude knows how to score. I think it could be back and forth affair.
How about this one? Probably not a lot of points in this one. You got a prolific offense against a prolific defense, Vanderbilt versus Iowa. Real quick, Diego Pavia, is he going to win the Heisman?
No, he's not going to win the Heisman, but I do think there is a fair argument to be made that he is the most important player on his team.
100% MVP, no doubt. How about the did not meet expectations bowl, also known as the Sun Bowl? Clemson, Arizona State. That one's going to be on New Year's Eve, 1 p.m. Central Time kickoff in El Paso, Texas. How about really lower expectations, especially on the Texas side? Maybe not as much on Michigan. Michigan, Texas in the Citrus Bowl. I would actually have a lot of fun watching that matchup. Would
I
be
agree.
possibly the second time that Michigan could upset an SEC team in a bowl game.
Agree. I also think that the people of the Citrus Bowl would agree that this is a game that should be scheduled because no one wins more than the Citrus Bowl if it's Michigan versus Texas.
How about an awesome helmet matchup right there as well?
Classic
Michigan,
matchup.
Texas, classic, beautiful. Nebraska, Utah, battling at Allegiant Stadium in the Las Vegas Bowl. So if you go to that, you can go ahead and put some legal wagers on it. The Armed Forces Bowl right here in Fort Worth, Texas. Army versus Cincinnati. I actually would really, really love that ball game right there.
I think that's a fun matchup. This Army team, they're resilient. They find a way to win, and there's just something special about watching the military academies.
Liberty, liberty, liberty. Even though it's sponsored by AutoZone, funny enough.
Weird.
Iowa State, Tulane, Memphis, Tennessee. The Green Wave will be without their head coach. Iowa State will be with theirs, which is hilarious because Matt Campbell is one of the best coaches in college football right now. Definitely think he deserves to be getting some looks. The Duke's Mayo Bowl, who's had a really, really nice resurgence over the last couple of years. Missouri, Louisville, who's going home with the Mayo bath?
Definitely Will Levis. I don't know how he gets there. I don't know what he does, but he will make sure that he is a part of that game somehow. Although I do really like Louisville.
And the final bowl game of this prediction segment, SMU, Arizona in the Holiday Bowl on January 2nd. You'll find that one 7 p.m. Central Time on Fox in San Diego, California. Do you want your team to win their bowl game? I get it. It doesn't necessarily matter as much anymore. But screw that mentality. It matters to me. It matters to you. If you do, hit that thumbs up button, like today's video, and we'll see you next time. Alrighty, here are your college football playoff rankings as they came out tonight. James Madison at 25, North Texas at 24, Iowa, Georgia Tech, and Houston. North Texas, James Madison, not a 0% chance both those teams make the playoff. Tulane, we'll have something to say about that. They come in at 20th, Michigan at 19, Arizona, Virginia, USC rounding out 18 through 16 into the top 15. That's where we'll find Utah, Vanderbilt, Texas, big story of the night. Texas jumping Vanderbilt, another big story. Miami at number 12, BYU at number 11. Into the top 10, we find the Fighting Irish, then Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, and then we see the Duckies at 5, the Red Raiders at 4, Bulldogs, Hoosiers, Buckeyes, 3, 2, 1. All four of those teams that round out the top 4 have some pretty massive games this weekend in conference championship weekend.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait. That was a run through there of all the games as well as all the college football playoff rankings. I do want to make sure that I say it one more time. Crumble Cookie won.
Yeah, breaking news.
They announced the extension. The BYU Cougars announced that Kalani Sitake is staying in Provo. That's a gigantic win for BYU.
I agree. And frankly, I'll give you a hot take. I think it's a gigantic win for Penn State as well. I just didn't see – I like Kalani Sitake a lot, but I think he's perfect where he is at BYU. Think of it like Brian Kelly to LSU. I don't think Kalani Sitake is a culture fit whatsoever up in the Northeast in Penn State. I think that would have been a little bit like oil and water, fish out of water. I know I'm giving a lot of water metaphors right here.
Thirsty.
You don't seem to think the same thing.
I've watched Kalani Sitake take over at BYU for basically the last decade and a half or so. He's been absolutely fantastic over there. Now, yes, I do agree with you because of his religious affiliation, and I believe he was a former player for the Cougars as well. So obviously there is his alma mater. That is where he's going to fit the best. He's still a freaking winner. What that dude goes out and does with lesser talent than what he'd be able to recruit to Penn State, I think that Penn State's a little bit too much of turning their nose up at people that they really shouldn't be. He's a home run hire. I kind of think the same thing with Kentucky's hire of Will Stein.
I agree.
A lot of different universities said, well, he hasn't been a head coach so far, so I can't give him a head coaching spot. You know who else wasn't a head coach before they were a head coach?
Who's that?
All head coaches.
Yep.
All head coaches. And sometimes some of these Power 4 schools think they're a little bit too big for their britches.
This Penn State search has been pretty unbelievable. They got ahead of it. Thought they'd get out in front of it. They fired James Franklin before anybody else fired any other head coach in this league. And it is December 2nd. They still don't have a head coach. Things were trending on Sunday. Rumors were flying. Maybe Josh Heupel. Heupel turned it down yesterday. Then after Heupel turned it down, Kalani Sitake stock went way up. BYU called a team meeting. Crumble Cookies was calling out the athletic director at Penn State. Things were getting crazy. They locked down Kalani Sitake. Where do they go from here? In my opinion, I think it's obvious. Brian Hartline.
See, and while I do think Hartline is obvious, I also think someone else that you mentioned earlier would not be a bad phone call to make. Iowa State. Campbell is a good coach. He is a winner. He's from and is coaching in a similar area, right?
Yep.
Now, I know there's a difference between Big 12 play and Big 10 play, but he's proven that he can build a winner with lesser talent. Now go get a guy who can build an offense with greater talent than what he's had before.
Yeah, I'm shocked Matt Campbell has not gotten any looks. I heard Josh Pate say it. He was like, if the only reason Matt Campbell hasn't gotten a lot of looks is because he's not about promoting Matt Campbell.
He's not sexy.
He's
That's
not.
the problem. Lane Kiffin is sexy. Matt Campbell
and also, Lane Kiffin promotes Lane Kiffin.
100%.
Matt
No one
Campbell
promotes him more.
Does not promote Matt Campbell. And if he did, he'd probably be a hotter name than he is, but I think he's just fine kind of being where he's at. Was this the right move for Sitake? Yes or no in the comment section. I think yes, personally. Easier to compete in the Big 12.
Agreed.
It's a better culture fit for him. It's where he's been. It's where he played. It's where he's won. I feel like he was right.
And he got everything he asked for. He said, I want more money. They said, okay, how much? And they threw it at him. He said, I want more NIL money for my players. They said, how much? He said the number. They threw it at him. He said, my coaching staff deserves to be paid more. They said, how much? And they said, okay. And they threw it at him. When you demand certain things and then they give you what you demand,
why would you leave?
Why would you leave?
Exactly. The grass is not always greener. Carol asked, what about DeBoer for the Penn State job? Carol, I think there could have been some legitimate smoke for that happening if Alabama lost to Auburn. But Alabama's going to go to the playoff. They're going to go to the SEC championship. Kalen DeBoer is not leaving for Penn State. And one of the biggest reasons why is because Penn State would most likely have to wait 2 more weeks to hire him.
Right. Well, and the other thing about that, too, is
and it's Alabama.
Why would you leave Alabama for Penn State? Like, what would be the reasoning there? It just doesn't make sense. The only reason why DeBoer, I think, leaves Alabama is because that one lady ends up winning the lottery and does get him fired. That's the only way.
That's fair. I forgot that was in the cards as well.
Fortunately, I didn't.
Here is the college football playoff bracket because, of course, that is the reason why you're tuning in tonight. Hey, we're 1 like away from 300. Somebody get us there.
Help us out.
Right now, the first round matchups would be Oklahoma against Alabama, A&M against Notre Dame, Ole Miss, yet to know who they play, Oregon, yet to know who they play. Who do you like? Oklahoma, Ole Miss, quickly, A&M, Notre Dame. I personally like A&M and Alabama.
Yeah, I think in this position, I think that there's a good chance for Notre Dame to come away with a victory just because, well, I think Notre Dame's the better team now, and I think they were the better team back in the day. And Alabama, they should have won that game. They should have won. I think both teams that lost in the previous matchup, they come away on top.
Interesting to see how it's going to all end out. Of course, you got conference championship game this weekend, ACC, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12. It's going to be a full slate of college football. Make sure you're locked in. Make sure you're subscribed because when the college football playoff rankings happen on Sunday, we will be live for them as well. Not Ortner and myself. Tom Downey will be with you guys. Promise you, you'll like them a lot better than you like us. But we'll get you those as they come. And, of course, every single playoff game, we will be live right here on Chat Sports 4. So make sure you're locked in, subscribed. And with that, Jack, are you ready to say goodbye? Perfect. All right. He's Will Ortner. My name's Joey Peterson. Appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in. Y'all have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next time.